for how to return to safe in-person meetings remain ongoing. Diana, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Hank Carr. I see Hank. All right, Shannon Castilla.
I'm here.
Tracy Johnson.
Here.
Jody Jones.
Here.
Brent Long.
Here.
Freddie Malone.
Present.
Lindsay Nichols. Lindsay, I don't think your audio is working.
Oh, I'm
Go
here.
on. Oh, there you go. William Roller.
Here.
Seth Thomas.
Here.
Craig Torbett.
Here.
Robert Williams.
Here.
Joe Wise.
All right, thank you. Move on to approval of March board minutes. Should have had the opportunity to review those. Does anyone have any corrections or comments? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the March minutes?
A motion.
Second.
Tracy, I'm sorry, y'all. Who made the first? Shannon. Who did the second?
Seth and someone
Seth,
else.
thank you.
Can't hear anybody.
All right. Hank Carr.
He says he can't hear anyone.
Okay. Shannon Castilla.
Yes.
Tracy Johnson.
Yes.
Jody Jones.
Yes.
Brent Long.
Right.
Yes.
Freddie Malone.
Yes.
Aaron Murphy.
Present.
We're voting on the minutes. Lindsay Nichols.
Yes.
William Roller.
Yes.
Seth Thomas.
Yes.
Craig Torbett.
Yes.
Robert Williams.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to the next item in our agenda is old business. To a review of the year 1 to 3 action plan.
Brent, you skipped the March financials. I'm
Sorry. Sure did. Jim, will you please present the financials?
Yes, thank you, Brent. We are 9 months into our fiscal year, which is 75% of the total budget. As you know, as you recall, we now report separate financial statements for the JCDA and the Johnson Beer Center. So I'll comment on each entity when we're discussing it. For the JCDA, looking at the balance sheet on the first page of the financial statements, you can see that the total current assets are $2,484,210, with $2,025,807 in cash. Of the cash, $1,366,547 is in the TIF account, $263,729 is in the operating account, $193,739 is in the savings account, and $201,792 is in the downtown center TIF fund. The only other asset, as you can see on the screen, is the $458,403 receivable from the Johnson Beer Fund. The total fund balances for the JCDA are at $2,484,210, of which $1,556,553 is restricted for TIF projects, and $931,886 is unrestricted. Moving on to the statement of revenue and expenditures. Year-to-date total revenue is $561,115, of which $167,764 is operating revenue, and $393,351 is TIF revenue. Year-to-date expenses total 610,000 till we get there. There we go, $610,345. And that makes the year-to-date net result a deficit of $49,230. When comparing the annual budget versus actual figures for the JCDA, 45% of budgeted revenues have been received and 57% of budgeted expenses have been incurred. Are there any questions with the JCDA results? If not, we'll move on to the John Sevier Center. For the John Sevier Center, the cash position is currently $206,695. There is $111,973 in the reserve account, $61,595 in the rental account, and $33,028 in the security deposit account. There are $8,532 in receivables. There are also $10,920 in accounts payable, and move on to the next section, and $876,384 in current liabilities, and that is related to the loans outstanding and tenant deposits. Looking at the statement of revenues and expenditures, total year-to-date revenue was $760,772. Year-to-date expenses are at $604,693. That is excluding depreciation and interest. The year-to-date net result before depreciation and interest is operating income before debt costs and depreciation of $156,079. For the John Sevier Center, 74.3% of budgeted revenues have been received, compared with 78% of budgeted expenses, which also excludes depreciation, taxes, and interest, which were not part of the budget. Are there any questions about the John Sevier Center financials? Okay, turn it back over to Diana.
I guess we'll for a motion to approve the financials.
This is Craig, so moved.
This is Robert, I'll second.
Roll call to approve, please.
Hank Carr,
Yes.
Shannon Castilla,
Yes.
Tracy Johnson,
Yes.
Jody Jones,
Yes.
Britt Long,
Yes.
Freddie Malone,
Yes.
Aaron Murphy,
Yes.
Lindsay Nichols,
Yes.
William Roller,
Yes.
Seth Thomas,
Yes.
Craig Torbett,
Yes.
Robert Williams,
Yes.
thank you.
All right, now we can move on to review old business, which is a review by year 1 through 3 action plan. Give a update on that. The staff has taken the comments and discussions from our workshop back in February, and they've set 3 plans of action for each of the 6 strategic goals. These will guide the staff as they work over the next 3 years and will be reviewed and updated on a yearly basis. As a review, our 6 strategic goals are, in no particular order, to successfully redevelop the John Sevier historic property as a transformational project within the district, to continue to invest in the downtown district by identifying projects that are a well-qualified use of TIF funds, to create an environment that's attractive to remote workers, as well as first floor retail service business, to continually evaluate the parking capacity for businesses, residents, and visitors within the district, to determine the best and highest use for the downtown center, and to ensure that the JCDA directs its energy and resources to its mission and vision in a highly effective way. The staff created these objectives that aim to be specific, realistic, and measurable. These are both project and task-oriented objectives designed to get us to our goals. The third element to this process will be for staff to focus on tracking progress, communicate, and celebrate results. And Diana will create an operational dashboard that will help measure annual goals and month-to-month operational data. Does anyone have any comments? All right, no comments. Do we have a motion to approve the action plan?
Mr. Chairman, I apologize. I was on mute. I have a quick question. Did we actually review the objectives at our meeting a couple of months ago, or just establish the high level targets and ratify those? I apologize. I just don't remember the level we got into before.
No, so like I said at the beginning, the staff has taken the comments and our discussions from that workshop, and then they set the 3 plans of action for each of those 6 strategic goals.
No,
Okay.
I'm sorry. We went through every action, all 3 action plans, and specifically went through each one, changed some of them, adapted them, made them, some of them directed a different way. So what I did was, as we went through them in the workshop, I changed them, and then there were some notes that were made on a couple of them that needed to be either more realistic, more measurable, or whatever. And so I took those notes and put them into a complete document. But this board in our workshop went through each of the 3 objectives under each goal.
As it relates to the John Sevier on that first objective, and it talks about improving the REACT scores, I realize we don't have a lot of influence there, but at the end of the day, what's our target REACT score to hit for that? Is it 65 or 60? I can't remember.
70. A passing
70.
REACT score is 60. Our goal is to get to 70.
I think that objective, that first one, ought to just say, our goal is to hit a REACT score of 70. Now that we know what the target is, after bringing those guys on and knowing what we're trying to shoot at here, but that's what I think it ought to say.
I can definitely add that.
Hey, Hank.
Yep.
Is a 70 obtainable? I know that with a lot of the restrictions, the limitations to the building, I mean, is that even attainable?
Here's the way I understand it. If we can't hit a 70, I don't think we're going to be able to transfer the HAP contract to a new project. And Diana, you can clarify how that works, but that is a critical action item of success in order for us to get steps 2 and 3, which is you got to get the building up to speed so that you can get approval from HUD to transfer the contracts so that you can sell the building and redevelop it. And Diana, I'll let you clarify that.
Yes, that is correct. So we have been working, and this is actually in Jim's report that will be coming up. The folks from LHP have done a detailed list of what it will take to get us to a 70. They actually have a statement from HUD saying that that if they make the attempts to get it to that passing, that HUD will approve or will will look favorably on the HAP transfer. So they have put together a priority list. They've given us an idea of what it's going to cost. And then they're just looking at what we can do in-house versus what needs to be done by contractors. And so in the next 2 weeks, they're bringing in contractors to price out all of the items that they believe need to be done to get us to that 70. It's their goal to tackle this high priority, make sure that these projects get taken care of very quickly, so that they can bring in HUD and request a REACT inspection. But they feel like the budget is anywhere from 125 to 185, depending on what can be done in-house and what they have to use as contractors. But they feel like they can get to a 70, which is very minimum for a company like LHP. But both LHP and HUD understand that getting to a 90 is not reasonable.
Yeah, here's my point is if we can't hit a 70, I think that project's dead in the water in all respects, is what we're hearing. So we might as well put the target out there and let's just fess up to what we got to do, or we're not going to be successful.
I understand, Hank. It's been a while since I've looked at it. I just remember before they even walk in the door, we're going to lose 15 or 20 points. I can't remember, just because of the age and the type of building it is. Like a 70 is almost 100, considering what all we have to get points for.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, we've heard that from M&M. We don't. The challenge we have as an organization is we got a piece of property. We got to figure out, and we have this big plan. We're told by our consultant now 70 is what it takes to make our plan work. That's all I'm saying. We can water it down, but the goal is the goal. You got to get a 70 to get the rest of the deal done. That's all I'm saying. I don't know how you get there, and it is a mountain to climb.
No, I agree. I'm not saying we should water it down. I just want to voice the concern that 70 is going to be a difficult number to hit, but I think we're up to the challenge.
Will?
I have a question. So if 70 is hard to hit, but we need 70 in order to be successful, is anyone concerned about that?
That's why I'm raising it. Yes, it's a concern.
Well, but you better believe we're concerned. I mean, honest answer. Can you get there? I don't know. I think LHP is probably gives us the best chance of getting there because they care. But let's face it, they weren't even sure about taking on this project because of the HAP score. That was one of their biggest concerns. They didn't want the ding on their record because they usually run in the 90s. I think that number is right. We're talking about our goals here, okay? And this is the organization's goals. It's not the staff goals. It's the organization's goals we're trying to hit. And so that's just where I come down on this. Is we can't ignore what the target is. It isn't to improve it. It's to hit a 70, get those contracts moved, and get that building flipped into a higher use.
This is Jody. It would seem though, to Hank, to your point, that we could just phrase it that we raise the score high enough to get the contracts moved and move the property on, regardless of the score specifically. We could word it that way, just functionally.
Sure. HUD's told us it takes a 70. That's the problem.
Hey guys, this is Lindsay. In talking to LHP and Diana, I think that HUD is well aware of all of our problems, and I think that they're going to be a lot easier on LHP than normal. I just went through a React score, and it is difficult, but it's doable. And I think that they're well aware of the building. Their ultimate goal is to get these people out of that building and moved. So I think that they're going to be a little bit lenient on scoring just to get us through and make this be successful. They want us to move these people more than anybody. So I think that we should just, I think that he's probably going to get a 70 regardless if we really score 70, because they really want the end result to happen.
It's encouraging. I had one other question down on second objective under parking solutions. It says request development services. Who is development services? Is that the city department?
Yes.
Do we know what that
They
parking study is
did.
going to cost?
They have done a parking study before. That's right now they're short 2 planners, but in discussion with their director, they know that parking as our community opens back up is a challenge, and so we have discussed a parking study for downtown for the last couple of years.
Haven't we done a few of those already?
It has been, they did a 20 or maybe not a 24-hour, maybe a 12-hour study, but that was probably in 2016, I would think, Seth. So it's been a while. We know the number of parking spaces in the downtown district, but there has not been a study on the traffic and the turnover. The city commission, I know, is, pardon me?
Has it changed that much since then?
I would think since 2016, we've opened quite a bit of upper level living. We've brought in more businesses, and I think there's probably an impact. That study would also help us in negotiation and discussion about accessing the downtown center garage on a more daily basis.
Yeah, what was the update on the elevator project that kind of fell by the wayside?
There's not been any movement since we got the initial bids at over $1 million for that elevator.
Okay.
We can buy a traffic study if we need to. I don't know what they cost. They're probably $10,000 or $15,000 to do one. It may be a lot more than that now that I think about it, because it's a pretty big area. But I guess the way this is worded, it says request a development services to do a parking study. At the end of the day, what I think you're saying is we have to have a parking study before we can figure out how to address the solutions, right?
That's correct. I think that there's some data that needs to be that we need to have that is up to date to know the traffic counts or the parking counts during the day, during the evening, at different times, so that we can identify when parking's being turned over, and the amount of spaces that are needed, and where maybe some of the challenges are.
I'm not opposed to that. I think that makes sense to update that information. It just seems that there are a few budget deficiencies. Is there a cheaper way than spending $15,000 to have somebody come count cars and spaces? Just thinking fiscally, I guess.
So development services, like I said, they had planned on doing one in 20. I think they had planned on putting it in their 2020 budget. But then they've had some turnover. So it's just a matter of discussion with them. And you know, we know that people have been working remotely. We haven't had the amounts of folks in our parking lot for the last year. So it's not been a high priority, but we just need to begin the discussion with them.
Well, for me, we got to do a parking study. I don't disagree with that. The way it's worded, it says request somebody to do it. But we got to get one done. It just, we needed, the word ought to say complete parking study. That's a pretty big deal for what we're trying to get accomplished in my book.
So I have that we're going to add two things. We're going to add the goal of a 70 in our REACT score, and that we want to change the verbiage under parking to complete a parking study. Is there anything else?
All right, do we have a motion to approve the action plan with the changes noted?
This is Jody, so moved.
This is Tracy. I'll second it as noted.
Thank
All
you.
right, roll call, please.
Hank,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Jody,
Yes.
Brent,
Yes.
Freddie,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
William,
Yes.
Seth,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
and Joe Wise. I know
Joe
she's
Wise
come
is
on.
here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, moving on to standing committee reports. Sorry, Joe, you made me laugh there. Diane and Jim, can you give us an update on the John Sevier Center, please?
Okay, Diana asked me to give that, and I'm very happy to report that the transition has gone much smoother than I expected. As you know, there's a lot of ins and outs there, and but LHP has come in full force. They have been organized. They've been on site. Our operations manager, Tammy DeRosa, has been covering all the details. It's been just a pleasure to work with them, and a great relief that we aren't trying to chase down things that haven't been done. In terms of the personnel there, LHP successfully hired all the key staff. We were able to retain Dave Bowser and Ann Shelton, and the custodian and the night manager. Ann and Dave both got moved up in salary to the LHP standard, which was a substantial increase for them, and a better benefit level as well. So that was very successful. They've also hired, we let M&M took back all their maintenance folks, but we've already successfully hired 2 maintenance techs, which is what we wanted to have on site. And then if they need more, they'll bring them in from the LHP group. And we've also hired a part-time leasing agent that will also handle front desk duties there. So the staffing's all in place. Until this week, we were still in the middle of the transition with regard to banking and finance. And we were lucky enough to have Charles Gilley, who worked with M&M, to offer to help us during the transition, not as a member of M&M, but working directly with the JCDA. And I know Hank, you and others know Mr. Gilley. He's a first-class individual, and he's done just a great job helping us until the time that we can get our bank signers done. And with regard to that, all of the officers of the board commissioners have now signed the bank documents, and I think we're going to turn those in to the bank today. So we'll transition Mr. Gilly out, but he's been very helpful as we go through that. LHP has also been 100% focused on this, the REACT projects, and they have already gotten proposals coming in of the items to meet all the critical items. We just got the proposal for the sprinkler head service that was one of the items, and they've got many of the others underway. So they're on top of it. They've really done a great job, I think, although we're just at the beginning. I don't have any way to say whether or not we'll meet that budget of 125,000 to 185,000. The proposal for the sprinkler head service was 12,000. So there may be some things may be higher, some may be lower, but they are working it, and they're I think doing a great job. And Diana, do you have any other comments on that? Okay. Any questions about the transition, John Sevier transition?
Hey guys, I've got a comment. LHP reached out to me a couple of weeks ago with some sites that they were looking for, and were asking for some additional help. And they're very eager to get this thing kicked off. Clearly, you guys have picked a really great group to run the show. And after considering the request for me to help, I had to refer them to someone, or I felt like I should refer them to someone else, even though, I don't know that there's an official conflict of interest. I just didn't want it to look like there was in any way, form, or fashion. So I went ahead and passed on their information to another broker that I've done business with before that'll do a great job. So I'm not going to represent them in finding property, just to take any kind of potential conflict of interest out of the way. I support this project 100%. I think LHP is going to be a great group in this, and would have anyway, regardless of the phone call to me. And saying that, they're moving forward very quickly. I still get updates on what they're looking for, and if I come across something, as the rest of you that are in real estate, I'm sure you're looking too. If there's something you find that's 7 to 10 acres that you think would work for multifamily, that's in that bus line and close to grocery stores and medical facilities, they certainly would appreciate you letting them know. They've identified several, and I think there's some really good potential opportunities out there for them. But I did want to let you guys know that they did contact me, and after conversation and considering what they were asking, I just didn't want there to be any misunderstandings that maybe I was doing something I shouldn't be, right? So want to let you know that. And also through all this, I know it's been a volatile, I know most of you have probably seen it's gotten kind of volatile on this board from time to time over this project. But I did want to say, I think staff, guys, y'all have done a phenomenal job getting a hold of this and just kind of straightening the road up and finding the path. And I think you've done a phenomenal job. I don't know that anybody could have done anything any better. Unless you've been born in this industry, and Lindsay probably could tell you, I'm sure it's a tough industry to be in, but golly, you guys have been impressive, and you've really taken the bull by the horns and done everything I think you possibly could do, or anybody could do. So kudos to staff on all the hard work.
Thank you, William. I will follow up on a couple of things. I have had two or three meetings with Alvin Nance from LHP this month. They are narrowing it down to a couple of really solid pieces of property that they think that HUD would approve. So they're in that negotiation right now. They did say that if you'll remember, they shared with us a preliminary budget, and they feel like that one of the pieces of property, they may, if HUD was to approve it, it would probably be less than what they had budgeted. So we continue to meet with HUD to talk to them about the REAC inspection and also the new property, because it does have to be approved by HUD. We had a meeting, Brent and Robert and I, with City Manager Peterson several weeks ago to discuss a project, part of this this gap funding that they have. There's a project called Section 108, which is a loan against the CDBG funds, but the loan is guaranteed by LHP, not the by the developer, not the government. So I've got a follow-up call with Mr. Peterson next week to discuss that project. I did ask someone in the construction business to do to look at the construction and compare it to what they have done for apartments, and he gave me some feedback. And then I know Alvin has also met with Johnson City Housing Authority. There is a $1 million loan that or grant that could come from the Federal Loan Bank, but you have to have a nonprofit partner. And so Johnson City Housing Authority and LHP are beginning to work on that relationship. So we're narrowing the funding gap. As soon as they get closer to identifying that property and taking it forward to HUD, we will have a more complete agreement with them. Are there any questions?
Thank you all for that update. Moving on to the chair report. At this point, the governor's executive order for electronic meetings expires at the end of April. Diana is working on a location for our board meetings that will enable us to meet in person and be distanced. And it will probably be at the Memorial Park Community Center. As we've had very full agendas recently here, I would ask that everyone mark 90 minutes on their calendars for our board meetings moving forward. Diana, I believe, is going to update the calendar invite as well. And that's all from the chair report. Move on to staff. If they have anything they'd like to report.
Sure. Thank you. I will say that Lindsay is on vacation this week, and I appreciate Jim. He's also on vacation, so I appreciate him getting on here this morning. Your staff reports are in your packet. I will bring up just a couple of highlights and things that we've been working on. I've had meetings with two different developers that are interested in TIF. Both of them are working on their pro formas towards their projects, so we will continue to work with those developments. I sent each one of you an email. I've created a form for any board member to submit any business that needs to be added to our agenda. That form will be emailed out to the committee chairs, but it is also on our website, jcdatn.org, so you can access it at any time to let us know if there's something that needs to be added to the agenda. I will want to share that we started a co-starter class this Tuesday night. It's in partnership with the Chamber and Sync Space, who is the Launch Tennessee entity in our region. We had 26 people apply for that class. We narrowed it down to 12. Really good, a very diverse class. I was really excited about that. And I think there's some good businesses ideas that are coming out of that class. We've got several that are what I would call small scale manufacturing or makers. And I know Mayor Wise, you and I talked about this about a year and a half ago about how to encourage that small scale manufacturing option. But there is some retail, and there's also some more artists and makers in that class. So it's a very good diverse class. It will go for 10 weeks. And those folks that did not make this class will be waitlisted, and we've also put them in touch with TSBDC and Founders Forge based on what their project was. Besides those phone interviews with those 26 people, I've met with 5 potential business owners this month. And then I wanted to share something with you all if we have a couple of minutes. I did, this past week has been the National Main Street Conference. It was all virtual. And one of the workshops that I took was on, was called The Cost of Empty Buildings. And it was done by someone from an organization called Place Economics out of Washington, D.C. And the speaker used a consumer expendable survey that calculated the impact of different sectors of small businesses. And just as a reminder, we pull this up to share with you. One of the goals is to fill first floor spaces. And I wanted to share with you just an idea of what the impact is on our economy when you fill an empty building. It's not just the rent. And so this particular calculator was put together, and this is for a clothing store. Let's say it's a small one. Say it's a small square foot, the annual rent is $24,000. If you will look at what the impact is on the economy, you can see that it is this is $97,000 of economic impact that does not include sales tax for the state or the city. And I will say that this particular calculator, it's based on a 5% sales tax and 1% local. So if you look at that, we would know that our sales tax would be double that. If we looked at a goal of maybe filling, certain number of square foot, certain number of first floor spaces this year, for instance, one restaurant and 2 retail, the benefit locally would be just in sales tax would be about $20,000. And so when we talk about encouraging our property owners to fill their first floor spaces, I really like this worksheet. I thought it really gave us a good view on what the impact is. We've also spent some time, I've gone and done a data analysis of the number of properties in our downtown core that are vacant first floor spaces. We have about 27 in the downtown core that are vacant. 6 of those are under active construction. 7 of those are would not be able to be usable without significant investment on the property owners. There's a lot of code restrictions there. 3 pieces are leasable. 4 of those actually what I would consider owners unresponsive. Those owners are sitting back waiting for somebody to either offer them some grand amount, or they are just hanging on to it for future investment purposes while the building falls in around them. And then there's 5 that I would term as owners are responsive. They are willing to do whatever they need to do for that building, but they haven't done it. They're waiting on a tenant. And I know those of you in real estate know it's a whole lot easier to sell a white box or lease a white box than a space that doesn't have a floor or needs to have a bathroom installed or that type of thing. So we've got 27 first floor spaces in the downtown core that are empty. And so the goal of the Economic Vitality Committee, and then, our goal is to see what we can do to take small steps over the next 3 years to make a difference in those first floor spaces. That's about all I have for my report. Jim, if there's anything that you want to add.
No, I don't have anything.
All right. Well, then that concludes our agenda, and we stand adjourned. Hope everyone has a great weekend.
Thank you.
See you guys.